Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas. It is December 25th, 2020, and we are doing Robot and Nonsense today. A good way to round out the holiday.
We are probably not streaming tonight.
Probably not, no.
Krista, there's another word for this day.
Christmas? What's the other one?
Is there another holiday? You said December 25th.
I said Christmas. I said Merry Christmas at the start.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that.
Oh.
Well, what better way to celebrate Christmas than to talk about robots? Because they are integral to the Christmas experience. Actually, they are these days, right? I mean, the toys get made.
I really want to bring the John Goodman vision of the Santa Claus bot to life from Futurama. That's my number one robot life goal.
Yeah, well, a robot Santa would be very convenient in these dark times of a pandemic. Although we did learn that he is immune.
Well, I mean, I would expect a robot that's like self-sterilizing. They also have UV accessories.
He comes down the chimney, and the children are not asleep, and they're there waiting, and he just like gasses them with disinfectant from his accessory arm. Well, we don't have that yet, but we do have robots that are joining our military.
Exclusive. AI just controlled a military plane for the first time ever. Now, I'm sure that this headline is not accurate because we covered the time that AI was controlling a plane in a simulated dogfight against a real pilot, and the pilot got slaughtered.
Well, I think that was simulated, and this is actual in the air. I agree with you. I'm sure they didn't tell us the first time this happened. This is the first press release.
Okay. But it was still impressive. It was an impressive performance.
Now, the other thing about this, and maybe the headline, maybe Popular Mechanics just, whiffed the headline here. But the first thing that they did do here is that this AI, it's simulated, but the AI was commanding the mission. So they were simulating what if the test grounds was a enemy missile launch facility. And the AI had to make decisions, split-second decisions on, do we launch countermeasures or do we try to destroy the missiles? How far do I go to keep my crew alive or complete the mission? So they were kind of testing, like, what is the AI going to do? It destroyed the missiles, I think, in most cases.
I'm just remembering the intro to War Games, the movie, when the people got the call and it's like, this is going to kill 90 million people in Russia, and he's like, I can't do it, and the AI was like, go launch.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, it's got to give you a little bit less confidence when you're in that plane, knowing that the cold, unfeeling robot is going to make the decision about whether you live or die, if it helps the rest of the world.
That's just the plot of Alien.
You're supposed to have that mentality in the military? Well, I don't know how easy that is.
There's at least twice in history where the person on the button with the nuclear weapon made the right call to not launch.
There was that Russian guy.
Yeah.
Probably saved the world.
Yeah.
He should.
Two instances of that in history.
Do you know his name? Because I don't, and that's sad.
He just died, actually.
Yeah.
I think there was an article about it because they had he was in a very modest apartment in Russia, and he had some of his stuff, and he was just delighted to talk to somebody. And somebody was like sitting on the article for like a year, and then he died. They were like, "Oh, I'm going to publish the article." At least I think he died.
That's sad. Well, a lot of you, I'm sure, can get behind this. I don't know if this will end up being an excuse to do something that goes too far, but we definitely do have a problem here. I think our problem is not so much this as it is the supply chain at this point. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
But this does give certain people an advantage that's driving everybody crazy.
UK politicians call for quote unquote making the resale of goods purchased using an automated bot an illegal activity. So not using bots to buy stuff, but using bots to buy stuff and then sell it. Would this get rid of high frequency trading?
I don't think so. I think it has to be a physical good. But also, how would you identify which person on eBay got theirs through a bot?
Probably not meant for personal use of bots, only commercial and scale use of bots. Why did you buy 100 Xboxes? How did you buy 100 Xboxes?
Maybe. Also, I'm totally caught up in the clickbait here. I think Cyberpunk's use of Keanu Reeves has sparked a trend. And now we have Vin Diesel
Did you watch the trailer for that?
No,
I watched part of the Game Awards on Twitch the other day, and it does not look good. The trailer
Really?
for Arc 2. I didn't think, but I also don't play Arc, but
I was expecting the Keanu Reeves angle of Cyberpunk 2077 to be really bad, and it's actually good.
yeah, I think they did a good job with the story there. They didn't make him this over the top goody two shoes character.
Yeah.
He's very ambiguous. Yeah, that story's pretty good. Walmart. Now, this is another headline that we see a lot of, and it really is just kind of baby steps they're making toward the inevitable, which is, all the truckers in the country losing their jobs. This is maybe a little bit more than a baby step this time.
Walmart will use fully driverless trucks to make deliveries in 2021. The company is working with a startup called Gardaí to test box trucks with no safety drivers. So they've already been doing tests with safety drivers. It's gone really well. The article mentions they've been doing deliveries between a distribution hub and a Walmart store that's not actually open to the public, that they use for grocery, I guess online ordering and grocery delivery type things.
Right, yeah.
And so the deliveries between hub and that store have been great. So they're going to expand it in that same area. It's not nationwide or anything like that, but they're going to try it without the safety drivers in that same area.
And there's going to be a store which is operational added to the loop.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a full parking lot that it has to contend with. Interesting. They are going to use safety drivers for now, but they're going to phase them out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Here's another rough headline. I think I remember what this one was to you.
What was it? Amazon, Zoox. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Their self-driving thing.
Amazon has their own self-driving thing.
Amazon has unveiled a self-driving taxi thing with a company called Zoox. And so this looks like a really neat piece of hardware, but do they have the software? Because Amazon was super light on details in terms of how the software works, where they've been doing their testing, where they get their data set. But the form factor here for the vehicle is it's two sets of passengers facing one another. There's no option for a driver. It does have an emergency stop button. I can see that in the pictures.
Also, it's kind of the thing that we haven't seen from anybody else yet. This is a bus kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's not really bus size, but it is unidirectional or bi-directional. There is no front of this vehicle. It goes in either direction.
They also talked about the safety features, which sounded really interesting. It sounded like the Judge Dredd style safety system, where it would encase you in a cocoon.
oh,
Close Snake loves Judge Dredd. He's been
Wow.
Judge Dredd
It's
for
really
Halloween
loud.
for the last 5 years. Alexa, I bet a lot of people, as it is Christmas Day, as we're talking to you, I bet we have a lot of new Alexa owners among our viewers.
Oh, you poor dears.
And you are lucky because not only will you be giving all of your personal details to Amazon, you can now communicate with anybody in the world.
Amazon launches live translation mode for Alexa. So they've got a demo here of the speaker, but also the screen, where Alexa is going to display what it heard and then translate it and then say it in the native language. And they feel like the machine learning model has gotten good enough that they can basically do this in real time.
So that's cool. They point out it can do it in text if you have an Alexa with a display, and it beeps two different tones. So it's like, hey, I'm done translating. It's your turn to talk. And then you talk, and then it's like, beep, other person's turn to talk. And it translates.
I can't wait for hackers to get a hold of that and cause an international incident.
Can you imagine some, old school Eastern Kentuckians, and all of a sudden their Alexa starts spouting off in Farsi to them? They're going to shotgun that thing so fast.
It's going to be a bonfire.
voice recognition for anyone with a strong Eastern Kentucky accent. It's really hit or miss. It does not understand people from around here very well.
Oh, but it's learning.
It is learning slowly but surely.
I love to throw in animal type stories into the nonsense section, and that is where we're going, into the nonsense section. And sometimes this is not really a nonsense story. This is kind of a something could go wrong here story. I'm always a little bit hesitant about these, but we are doing a lot of this already, so I guess just embrace it.
FDA approves genetically engineered pigs. What? I'm pretty sure this was a Futurama plot, wasn't it? No.
Look how smug that one looks.
Not for much longer.
Yeah.
But they're packed in so tight, it looks miserable.
So the engineering that they did here was to remove one protein that doesn't normally exist in humans, but exists in a lot of other mammals. And this protein, like if you get bitten by a deer tick, it exposes your body to this protein, which can cause you to have an allergic reaction to meat in the future. So you can get a meat allergy.
I think you can also just be born with that, can't you?
Yeah. And so
got that.
this removes that protein from pigs, and there may be implications in terms of like maybe pigs will become biocompatible for organs as a result of that. Because one of the reasons that pig organs get rejected in previous experiments is the presence of that protein.
We've previously cleared animals for medical purposes and for food purposes, but never both. So these pigs are the first to be both. How exciting for them. Do you think they made them a little cake? Had a little ceremony for them?
It didn't seem like the engineering that they did to remove that protein was all that much more advanced than selective breeding as well.
Yeah, maybe. So 2020, we've come to the end of it. It has been a very poor year for Hollywood. They have suffered. And I'm sure that during that time, while they couldn't do anything else, they didn't waste it. They spent it coming up with new intellectual properties. So they're not going to be rehashing the same thing over and over and over anymore, right? They probably did a lot of fresh writing. They got a lot of new, fresh ideas, I'm sure, right, for 2021?
It's official. Harrison Ford is returning in a 5th Indiana Jones movie.
Whoa,
Sean Connery passed away. I'm not interested in this movie.
The man's 75. How much adventure can he get into? I guess, he does look good for 75, though.
I don't know. Patrick Stewart's body double in Picard is pretty spry.
Yeah, he didn't have to do too much action, though, in that. He was really just like standing back, calling the shots. I guess there were a couple of scenes. Is LaBouffe going to be in this one? I couldn't find that. Because he was pretty universally hated in the last one, right?
I didn't think the Crystal Skull was not good at all. And I'm not really a Indiana Jones person, but I thought that was pretty terrible.
It would be funny if he was recast.
Or it would be good. That's another way of saying that.
It'd be pretty funny.
I would like to see Indiana Jones become, like, he turns to the dark side and he becomes like a corporate power and riches from all of his exploits. And he's trying to stop up and coming archaeologists from discovering things and buying them for himself. He's the villain. That'd be the great way to do that. It's not what they'll do. Now, we talked a lot about the tech shortages that affect everybody. In our world, the video cards are probably more out there, but for the normies, the consoles are really... Krista, didn't you say somebody in your family was struggling with this?
Yeah, she really wants one for her son, and I just don't think she's going to be able to get one before Christmas. She might be able to pull it out, but I just don't think so.
Is she willing to pay $1,000 for it?
No.
It's not happening. Yeah. But people are going to great lengths. They are making great sacrifices to get that PS5, and this story is certainly one of great sacrifice.
Space Force soldier demoted after skipping training in order to get a PS5. And he did skip training. He was only 30 minutes late.
You know, in the military, they're very big on punctuality.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. He was demoted. So he literally told his commanding officer, I guess, that he didn't think that the consequences of being late outweighed getting a PS5.
You got to read the actual text message quote, which you are you're making much more flowery than it was.
YOLO PS5 is greater than letters of discipline.
He did in fact get a letter of discipline and a demotion for his efforts. It is unknown, which I feel is terrible reporting, whether he got the PS5.
Don't think he did. Although Sony would be, they're missing out on the PR opportunity to just send him one.
Do we want to reward that behavior?
Sony does.
Is he your best representative? Maybe they should. Here's the move. Of course, they don't have enough stock, but they might. you give a PS5 to all the soldiers who were on time.
Ooh, yeah. It becomes one of those paradoxes where if he hadn't done it, they wouldn't have all gotten PS5s. But
that's a tough one. Do you remember this video? I don't remember ever. I don't
remember this.
Because in the story, they acted like this was a big deal.
Yeah, no,
I've never heard of it.
I'd never heard
I've
of it
never
either.
heard of this. Looks like it's in Colombia.
Yeah, maybe this was a big local story, but I'm kind of glad I didn't see it. I don't like stuff like this.
Notorious woman who beheaded an owl on social media is gunned down in an apparent assassination. She was shot 3 times by a gunman on a motorcycle and died en route to the hospital.
Oh, they don't have the picture of her. She'll be in this. Oh, what? Joe Biden?
What are you doing?
That's ridiculous. Anyway, apparently she made a viral video where she killed an owl, ripped its head off, and was holding the body and the head separately. I don't know why you would do that. A lot of people very upset about that. And this story kind of makes it seem like she was killed for that reason.
Yeah. She was being investigated for animal cruelty. So, what, Krista?
One of the top comments on this article is "Owls well that ends well." It has 420 upvotes as of the time.
420, of course. And I didn't notice this was still Fox News. Even more animal stories and even more animal tragedies.
Man mauled to death by pet hippo he described as like a son. Victim said that he had a relationship with the most dangerous animal in Africa. So this guy found a baby hippo stuck in the mud, and it was abandoned. And so he raised it, and something happened, and the hippo bit him a bunch of times, and then took him to where he was found.
A hippo bite has to be brutal because their teeth are not sharp.
Yeah.
It's just a dull, but their biting power is really extreme.
How you know hippos are serious business? The only time that I've ever seen Steve Irwin scared to death of animals was when he was crossing a river and there was hippos like a half a mile away, and he was just like watching them in the binoculars the whole time, freaking out because he's like, we got to avoid the hippos.
Well, that's the other thing. They move so fast in the water.
Yeah.
That's
Whenever you watch like those documentaries and stuff too, like when they go to like an African village, like people are more afraid of the hippos than they are of like crocodiles. They're like, no, the hippos are super mean.
When he said the most dangerous animal, he wasn't kidding. They kill more humans per year than any other animal, I think. At least in Africa. But I think it's worldwide, isn't it? Maybe not. Have you ever seen where they just take a whole watermelon and they just throw it down to a hippo?
And they crush it, yeah.
You're not going to survive that. And in fact, he didn't.
No.
Unfortunate.
They are cute, though. I love the videos of Fiona, the one in Cincinnati at the zoo.
You think they're cute? The babies or the grown-ups?
Well, Fiona's cute still now, but she was super cute when she was tiny, when she was a baby hippo.
The video footage of baby hippos eating vegetables is really adorable.
It is. I mean, I understand the impulse of like wanting to keep one as a pet, but I still wouldn't do it.
Well, you're not a South African farmer, Krista. In fact, you're not a farmer of any kind because you won't buy a house.
I'm trying to buy one right now. We went to the bank this week. Get all our stuff in order.
Now, I love...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Krista. I talked over you.
Oh, no, I was just saying we have to find a realtor now. That's our next step.
I love stories about this kind of thing. Now, we have studied or we've covered a lot of different instances of this. The most famous is the cordyceps among ants. But we did a couple of other ones. Do you remember what they were? I'm forgetting. But anyway, it's behavior modification through fungus. And the way that they make these animals behave seems impossible for an evolutionary force, right? So it's amazing that we have sharpened these fungus down to this exact behavior because it's so effective.
Scientists find 2 new species of fungi that turn flies into zombies. The insect-destroying fungi may represent the next frontier for drug discovery.
Wow, you just dropped fungi and fungi in the same read.
Fungi.
What are you trying to do?
I don't know. Make everybody angry. Sometimes I do troll like that. It's just like, oh, what's he doing? I don't understand.
Oh, we're paywall. They had to have a picture of it like attached to the fly.
So the fly will live for days until it just, I think the article describes it as the fly like it eventually just lands on its back and twitches. But it slowly eats all of the internal organs, but it eats all of the fly's internal systems in the order in which will keep the fly alive the longest. And it ends up having a hole in its abdomen where it's just spraying out more spores to infect more flies. And that's really horrific in a lot of ways. They think it gives the fly some sort of fly amphetamine, so the fly thinks it's having a good time.
And painkiller. And then, whatever their endorphin system is, it triggers that. I remember what it was now. It was the moths.
Oh, yeah.
And the moths spread the fungus through their genitals. Remember that?
Yeah.
This fungus also eats the fly's genitals.
Yeah.
The fungus loves to destroy your genitals.
I can think of some other funguses that are like that.
Now, the other cool thing about this fly is that it's not just waiting to be eaten. So with the ants, the cordyceps ants, they climb the grass stalk and
just die.
They wait for a cow or something to munch them, and then they go, and that's how it reproduces itself. These guys launch fungus rockets as they're flying around. Yeah, they can still fly when they got this. They go into like robot mode, and they kind of like try to bomb other flies. And if one spore touches another fly, it gets into their abdomen.
Ugh.
Yeah. Horrific.
Yes.
I would say I'm glad I don't have anything like that, but I probably got the cat one.
Yeah.
This is, I think we did this story. Do you remember it?
Yeah. It happened again.
And clearly, no one took this seriously at the time. They have not changed anything. So, of course, it happened again.
Porn broadcast onto Leuven government building. Again, we covered it the first time. Basically, some wahoos with a projector. It's a big flat building. And you got a really powerful projector. You can project whatever you want onto the side of it.
But I think the projector itself is part of the building owns that. These people are just getting into it.
Neat.
Last time, it was a web browser. So they just got in and changed the web page. This time, this person figured out how to stream the porn directly to the projector.
Nice.
So it was coming from his machine.
It's like a giant Apple TV.
So they've promised to get to the bottom of it, but they didn't last time. So I wouldn't worry too much. I love these stories too because we have a lot of upheaval, a lot of social change happening in the Northwest, and the people who cry out for it very often what was the celebrity where she claimed that you shouldn't be calling the cops on black people, and then a black kid with a BB gun showed up outside her house and she called the cops? I can't remember her name.
Yeah, but
this is a similar kind of thing.
Seattle politician who defunded the police call 911 to protect her from a crime she wanted to legalize. This headline is actually, I think, misleading, but not technically wrong. So she heard something that sounded like a gunshot, but was in fact a rock hitting her window. So someone from the street threw a rock large enough at her like big bay glass window or whatever that it made a loud noise. So she called the police. What they're talking about in the headline is she wants to decriminalize if somebody did that and they had a mental disorder or they were high on drugs or coming down off of high on drugs.
Or they lived in poverty.
That would not be a criminal offense, that they would have to do something else, which is, I don't necessarily disagree with. I mean, I don't know that putting somebody like that in jail immediately is the way to handle that from a lot of standpoints. Like, there's a lot of people in jail that really need mental help more than they need to be in jail. I don't know that that's the fix for it, but
So you're okay with your windows getting smashed?
No. And I think that, somebody that is coming down off a high on drugs could kill you. There are many cases of that where somebody's like, out of their mind, depending on what they were on. You could need some defense. So I don't,
this
I don't
is
know.
The Northwest. You're not allowed to defend yourself.
I don't know what the solution is here, but the article is definitely misleading.
All right. They have a big problem with homelessness in that part of the world too, although this is a slightly different part of the world. They kind of think the same.
And corruption, as it turns out.
And homelessness would, I think, lead to rocks through your windows.
Yeah.
Right.
And leads to the kind of people who would be affected by the changes she wanted to make. And so LA is struggling to find something to do with all these homeless people. This is an interesting one that they're suggesting.
LA is paying $130,000 for 8-foot by 8-foot sheds in a bid to house homeless people. Now, each one of these sheds has running water and plumbing, but also a place to sleep and stuff like that. So they're putting the homeless people in these sheds. But something is rotten in Denmark because other counties are only paying about $13K for an 8x8 shed.
Now this one right here, this one in front, I could go to Lowe's right now and get this for like $400.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something is horrendously wrong here.
I imagine they're doing some work inside there to maybe add like water or something, maybe electricity. But that's another maybe $2,000-$3,000.
But like, you can get a manufactured home for $65,000 that is like 680 square feet, and it has all of the plumbing and electrical. All you need is to assemble it, which a first-year carpenter could do.
Now, Krista, you love the idea of a tiny home. And it looks like this person, look at this, they got a little planter out front. You could even have a little garden, Krista. Here's my question to you. Would you, let's say I could get you one of these homeless sheds for like $5,000, but it was used. It was used here. Do you want that?
Well, not now that I'm married, but if I was like on my own and $5K for a home, that's not terrible.
What if,
this is ridiculous. The ridiculous part of the story is how much they're paying. It's good that they're actually trying to address the problem. The next problem they should address is the fact that they don't zone the city at all, so they can just build affordable housing.
What if you got your big piece of land? Would you like to have a little tiny house, maybe just to get away from it once in a while?
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. There was a house for sale. It was a tiny house, and it was on 25 acres, but they wanted a stupid amount of money for it. It's already sold. That's the way the market is right now. But
yeah, I could go for a tiny cabin in the woods.
Well, but you'd have to run utilities if you put it on your property. That might be
not if it was a secondary structure.
You could do solar in a septic tank.
Yeah. If it's a secondary structure and like you're not bothering with plumbing, I don't think it matters. Like you don't have to have it inspected or anything.
Well, keep an eye on that secondary market because I don't think this is going to work, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Transportation might be a problem. You got to get it over here.
Yeah.
So I know that I don't remember. Is it Ontario or Ontario?
I was going to say Ontarian.
I think Ontario is right because that sounds wrong to me.
It's Ontario and then Ontarian.
Okay.
Engagement challenge, chat.
So in Ontario, they have a real big problem with porch piracy, and I think that's universal at this point. The more desperate people are getting during the pandemic, the more that they're stealing. What do? One person has a novel solution.
Ontarian leaves packages of poop on porch, and it apparently got stolen after only 40 minutes. So there's a big problem with porch piracy there, especially with the whole lockdown and everything that's going on there.
Do you think, like, you get mad because someone stole your package, and you're like, I'm going to do something about this. But then there's that moment when you're squatting over a box, and you're like, what am I doing?
I feel like you get the box out, and that's the point where it's like, okay, I've gone too far, but this person went through the whole song and dance.
I want there was a guy that made Thor's hammer, but it's electromagnetic, and so he's got like something so that the hammer knows that it's him, and it'll turn the electromagnet on and off. And so like he was putting it down on something, and the electromagnet kicks on, and then when the electromagnet's on, you're not moving it from whatever it was stuck to, and so but he could pick it up because the magnet would turn off. I want that, but the Amazon package. I want the hilarious with the Benny Hill music, with these people coming up to them, like they start to pick up the package and then the electromagnet comes on and it goes boom. That would be amazing.
I like that idea. I would tweak it a little bit in that rather than the electromagnet, why don't we go for a landmine?
That's not allowed. You're not allowed to set booby traps.
That would cause property damage. That's the reason I don't want to do that. Now, it's been a while that we have not seen the social media challenges. Remember all the crazy, like the Clorox and
Ice
the
bucket
Tide
challenge.
Pods? Well, the ice bucket wasn't as destructive, but there was the boiling water challenge. Remember the boiling water challenge?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of bad ideas get disseminated over social media, and generally young people will act them out in ways that are very dangerous. And finally, we have another one for 2020.
The Irish Times reports that you don't want to, the Gardaí, I don't know how to say that, warns against social media prank of lying in front of traffic. One girl's already gone to the hospital with internal injuries.
Now you're thinking lying in front of traffic, that sounds stupid, but wait, it's not just lying in front of traffic. You also cover yourself with a white sheet, which is similar to the road color.
Yeah.
So if someone's not paying attention,
This seems like a cry for help from Gen Z and millennials. Like, I would rather get hit by a car than face what's coming.
and one girl did get run over. I ran over an Amazon package the other day.
What?
Why?
Yeah, because they deliver everything a day early at my house, and so I was like, it's not coming today, and I left in the middle of the day, and then at lunchtime, and then I came back, and it was there, and I wasn't expecting it. Ran right over it. It was right in front of the garage.
How did the package fare?
It was those little plastic dental flossers. They tanked it, no problem.
Well, that was fortunate.
You can run over those, it turns out. My car's not very heavy, though. So it's probably okay. Well, we've all had a time. Now, I was telling Krista about this, Wendell. At some point during this week, my desire to play Cyberpunk just fell off a cliff. I don't know what happened. I don't care anymore.
I've been so busy that I haven't really had a chance to play it much, but I just got through the mission where you got to find art, and then after I came back to that, it's like, oh, you need to do this, and I've had so many people calling me that I'm just like, I'm not feeling it.
I don't know what it is. I've lost the desire. Hopefully it'll come back. I was enjoying it, but then I don't know what happened. Anyway, I did get to the point in the game where I experienced this, because they have those little markers, and it's like, oh, who knows what this store sells? Well, that store sold dildos. And you can buy them. I don't know what you do with them in the game.
Sometimes you can junk them for components.
The components in a dildo. I guess there could be like batteries and stuff in there, right? Maybe a motor. Anyway, there's a lot of them.
Cyberpunk 2077 will soon no longer be a dildo paradise. They talked to the developers, and the developers are saying, yeah, it's spawning a little more often than we thought, so we'll
Sounds
fix
like
that.
a bug.
It's like, we wanted to be edgy, but this was actually a bug.
Speaking of bugs, we didn't include this because it literally just happened last night, but Sony is now refunding Cyberpunk via the PlayStation Store.
The people that are on PS4 were not having a good time, and some of the people on a PS5 were not having a good time.
Well, yeah, they've removed it from the store entirely. We'll be removing Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store until further notice, is what they say on their website.
Well, on PC, the only bugs that I've experienced have been hilarious bugs, which I've experienced a lot of, but still not as bad as a Bethesda release.
I haven't had a single crash. Have you had a crash?
Like 2.
Yeah, well.
You had the one when we were watching you stream the other night, and the guy drove by, but he wasn't in a car. He was just floating through the desert.
Yeah, hilarious bugs like that, but nothing that's like really a showstopper.
And there was one where you're trying to get through that window and it just launched you across the map.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. That's just, you have fun with it. I guess the 20th time it happens, it's probably not going to be fun anymore. But for now, it is.
But yeah, you cannot buy it through the PlayStation Store anymore.
That one guy had just borrowed Wonder Woman's invisible Lincoln.
How funny that you can't buy a game on a console, which you also can't buy. Well, we talk a lot about cancel culture, and this is actually not the first recursive cancel culture story that we've done, amazingly enough, because this just keeps happening.
Julie Burchill's book about cancel culture has been canceled over Twitter row. So
now, it did get a little racial, and you do have to watch out for things like that, but she's clearly the kind of person who is not watching what she's saying, which is why she's been the victim of cancel culture so often. The thing that she said, which BBC was not willing to reprint, maybe I understand why, considering the national issues that they've had recently, but she mentioned that one of the Prophet Muhammad's wives might have been a little young. But I think that's canon, right?
That is, yeah. At least my understanding of it.
engagement challenge? Maybe not. Maybe not engagement challenge on that one.
Yeah, let's maybe avoid that, but I'm sure it's going to be all over the comments now.
The YouTube algorithm will be along shortly to cancel us.
But the publisher stepped in and said that they don't tolerate that kind of thing, and they will not be publishing her book, which is ironic. But that's the world we live in now. Krista, please. And our final story, as I was prepping these stories, Wendell pointed out, and I do remember this, this is not the first time we've covered this story, and I don't think it's the same guy.
It's not.
I think there's more than one person doing this, which is terrifying.
Police, Louisiana man tricked women into changing diapers. So he faked a disability, and he just wanted women to, help him with his disability and also change his diapers, because this is apparently a common enough defect that it's happened more than once.
Now, here's the crazy thing about it, and this kind of goes back to the girls do porn thing. Even if you use deception to do this kind of thing, even though you're not locking anybody up or holding a gun on them or doing anything like that to prevent them from leaving, it still counts as human trafficking because you use deception to do it.
That seems like a much lower standard of, I guess a much higher standard of ethics than is involved with the typical board of directors of the American company.
Well, that's almost everything, right? But I do agree that lying to someone and making them wipe your ass is a serious thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's human trafficking necessarily, but it's horrible. What do you think, Krista? You got strong opinions on these topics.
This is a weird one because, I would think, even if, the job listing you said was you need to take care of this disabled person, and you get there and you realize this person's clearly not disabled. I would think in this particular instance, it would be easier for you to back out because you haven't been flown across the country. But if you're desperate for money, as many people are right now, that is coercion. I don't know if human trafficking is the right charge for it, but it is an icky thing to do.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think they all knew. Because what he did, he went on to post the job descriptions, and it was him the whole time, but he was pretending to be a relative of this person. And he told the girls that it's just imagine that you're coming to take care of a small child, because mentally that's where he is. And you're going to have to do all these things. And, he's not going to be able to communicate with you and blah, blah, blah. And then when they showed up, it was just him pretending to be that. So they didn't all necessarily know.
How does that... I have more questions than this article goes into, but, how do you show up knowing that this person is essentially a child and there's no other adults in the house? And it's did everyone just leave? Who's been caring for him before I got here?
Krista, you might be thinking this through a lot more than all of the victims.
Yeah, if you're desperate for money, maybe you just don't ask those kind of questions.
Maybe. And
Well, that's a shitty thing to do to someone who desperately needs cash.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And the world that we've entered into now, we're going to get into a whole big sort of ethical thing about all the OnlyFans type stuff, right? Because what if those girls just really need money? I'm sure there's a lot of those. Krista,
I heard about that recently.
Krista, we had some comments on one of the other videos. I can't remember which one it was. And they were like, when is Krista going to start an OnlyFans? And it made me think, and I'm going to preface this by saying that we all know that this would never happen. So this is a thought experiment. Alternate universe Krista, just put yourself in that place. I would just love to see what your reaction would be to this. What if hubby saw that, and then you came home one day and he had all the lights and the cameras set up. He had the bank account already linked up to OnlyFans. Is that a divorce? Is that a poisoning? What's your reaction to that?
It's really a poisoning. I would not. I guess I can't fault it entirely. I mean, we're kind of doing a side hustle, right? I mean, we do stuff with Twitch and YouTube and Patreon and all that. So, I mean, it's similar. But at the same time, I think about it and I'm we're still working full-time jobs. Can you imagine some poor 18-year-old girl who's maybe this will be a good alternative to working down at the gas station, and then she's making $200 a month, not even. And you're selling your privacy and your intimacy. That's so sad.
Or if she's making $20,000 a month.
Except that's saying one day we might reach the same level as Shroud. That's just never gonna happen. But maybe it will. So we should totally sell our entire personality. I don't know. It's weird. I would feel strange about that personally, but I don't know. We're entering into a weird time.
I thought you'd go divorce. I didn't think you'd go as far as poisoning.
Oh, I think you meant like poisoning the well.
Hey, hello, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Welcome to Exhibit A.
You're just walking it back now, Krista. All right.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
Oh, yeah, it's
whatever.
Christmas.
Yes, yeah.
Or whatever your holiday is, which wouldn't be on this day, would it?
You're watching this, go work on your Devember project with your Linode credits.
Like, go play some Minecraft. Everyone's really friendly.
On the Linode server, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. And the next time we stream, which is probably not today, it's probably Sunday, we will go over the Minecraft things.
Aren't we? I thought we were giving them another week.
Oh, yeah.
We'll because the server was a little
But
weird.
people
first
really
couple-
liked the interim. Like, maybe this could be another interim check-in.
Oh yeah, we could just keep doing that all day because that's.
Oh yeah, I've been creeping a little bit. I've been on and off this week, so.
Turns out those streams are real easy to do. Just turn Krista loose on it.
Yep.
Just bash people's constructions. Although I was really impressed. I haven't been on the server, but I have looked at the forum thread. Somebody has built a giant duck, which I really like.
I think that's actually a chicken grinder, technically. So you
Oh,
can
it
get
has
like,
a function. That's even better.
yeah, I think that's what that is. I haven't actually found it on the server yet, but I think I saw a button on it. So it's a statue of the chicken, and then you press the button and it kills all the chickens inside.
Wow, what an achievement!
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway, that's what you're missing out on, chat. Go check that out.
and we'll see you next week. Will we have announcements? Well, no, it'll be. We won't have announcements next week, but the week after that, you'll find out who the winner was.
Was it
Yes.
the week or maybe the one after that? Because it's New Year's is weird this year.
Oh yeah,
Everything's at the end of the
News
week.
is on a Friday as well, right?
Yeah, you got like 3 weeks. It's going to be the middle of January, effectively.
Anyway,
We'll look on the forum thread for the actual date instead of listening to me.
Anyway, have a good holiday. We will see you guys next week. Bye.